Welcome back. Joining me today on the squad are two very special guests. I would like to introduce Jamaal and Jack from the 950 Club podcast. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
That's who shabby.
Well, for the fine folks listening in, would you like telling the anime field guide? I almost said the treehouse audience. Would you like telling the field guide audience a little bit about your show and what it is that you guys get to do on the internet?
950 Club, man. We started in what was it, 2021, Jack?
Correct. 2021.
2021 we started. It was a brainchild of Jack and our other co-host who couldn't be with us today, Edwin. Yeah, they started off. It's kind of evolved just because things, adulting, new jobs, new family situations and everything. So what was once every other week in-person recordings is now, like, when we get around to it, we went from like hour-long discussions to you may get a drop from us once or twice a month, but they'll be like 5-6 hours long at a time. So we've had a lot of changes, but we have a lot of fun, man, just talking anime. We've gotten into wrestling, Star Wars. We reviewed a lot of the Marvel stuff, just normal geek stuff, but mostly we started off as an anime and manga podcast, and that's our bread and butter. That's what you're going to see most of.
As far as speaking of anime, as far as where we are in the fall season, we're about a third of the way through, approaching halfway. What's your watch list looking like, anime or otherwise, as we're kind of wrapping up the year 2025?
We need your honest opinion, Dave, because we've talked amongst ourselves. Do you think this has been the weakest season in a long time? Think of like the last time you were like, I just watch the classics. I'll just watch whatever, even catch up with reading.
I don't judge a season until it's all behind me. So like in the moment, I've not been keeping up with My Hero Academia, but I have friends who have, and they're having a generational time right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching Gato Yakata, loving that show, and just a couple other things as well. But I am catching up on some deals, but it's not so much like I feel like watching the classics. It's more like I had started watching some things, and then the summer season just took over my life, and now I'm going back to those shows. So I'm all the same. I mean, I think it's been fine. And in fact, one of my favorite shows of the year just came out of nowhere. Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. I am laughing my ass off at every single episode. It is great. It's not getting me into Kamen Rider proper, but I know enough about through osmosis and other friends who are Toku fans I know enough of Kamen Rider to get most of the jokes.
That was one that was like it didn't make the cut for me, but like I see you talking about it and I'm like, all right, maybe. I always have like a show at the end of the season that I just kind of binge once the season's over, and I think that might be my show for this season.
One and done.
I do a soft bench, like one that had a couple runs or episodes in a row. And it's now my number one of the season. Honestly, this monster wants to eat me. Are you familiar with Maruko-chan, Dave?
I've heard the name, but is it like a soft kind of horror series?
Almost. It's almost like a throwback. It really reminds me of this old school graphic novel called Sweet. It's from the creator of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, who eventually made Invader Zim.
Oh, okay.
Johnny Vasquez. Yeah, and like if you ever have time, check out his early work. It's amazing. And he's like a Tim Burton, like on steroids.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with him. I'm familiar with Invader Zim, so I think I get the vibe.
Yeah, and this is parody to Dark to like you think like Invader Zim can get a graphic. It's a million times more graphic. Anyway, Ruka-chan's kind of like that tone where there's things that are happening that are scary, like almost like from an Ito book, but how she handles it, how she handles the monsters, essentially is what the theme of the show is: suppression and grief, themes of that as well. Whereas This Monster Wants to Eat Me has the same type of like flair, like that type of like eeriness, but at the end of the day, it's just a full-on anime. This girl love exploration of Yuki, along with this main character that's grieving over her family loss, and she befriends a mermaid, and this mermaid wants to eat her. There's a lot going that you don't think because it's super minimal. Like we're talking about 3 main characters, 98% of the dialogue each episode, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's not like Summer Hikaru died where that's like, environment scent.
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. It's not really my cup of tea, my slice of life. I don't know. I'm trying one that reminds me a little bit of Mushishi, and it's Shabake.
I was just about to ask you about that. What are your thoughts on it so far?
Well, I've only seen the first episode so far, so I was looking at it going, okay, so it's less like Mushishi and more like Natsume's Book of Friends kind of vibe with Edo period.
A
little bit of apothecary with the medicine deal. So I'm putting the threads together. I like the first episode, and I just need to watch more. That's one that's on the list because on the other hand, I just did an episode on Studio Sunrise, shameless plug and all that. But part of it was every time I do one of those episodes, I always pick up 1 or 2 shows that I go, oh yeah, they did this. And so today instead of watching Shabake, I watched the first quarter, so the first 6 episodes of Witch Hunter Robin. They're still setting up. I think this one's gonna be more of like a slow burn. So I'm approaching it more like Ergo Proxy than I am with something like Apothecary or something new. It's
that one's phenomenal. I still haven't it's like one of those ones where I always want to go back to.
Robin
I was
or
tempted
Ergo
to go
Proxy?
back to that one recently. Ergo Proxy.
Yeah, Ergo Proxy is a tough one to get into. I love it.
Yes.
I still have it. I got the DVD set back there. It was, I'll sit back and I'll watch it and I'll be having this grin on my face going, this is fucking weird. That's just Ergo Proxy. So I'm approaching Witch Hunter Robin like that. They're being a little bit obtuse with their information at the start. So I'm just telling you like that and Zeta Gundam. I'm picking up Zeta Gundam again and I am very much in the back half. So I'll sit down and, 8 episodes will go by and I go, woof, where'd the afternoon go?
That was spring or summer, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I started watching it in the spring and then I dropped it during the summer. So it was like some major battle and then they had a series of episodes that was like 4 episodes of we're here, we're going to fight. And then the villains run away shaking their fists. Curse you, Zeta Gundam. And then they come back and do it all again the next episode. They had about 4 episodes of those. And now we seem to be coming back of, okay, now Char's taking the field again. Or excuse me, Lieutenant Quattro is taking the field again. And now we're getting more dynamics and the big guns are coming out and all the different, we're having more psychic warfare now. So all of the weird Gundam shit's starting to happen now, as you would expect, being about episode 35-ish. That's really what I've been trying to get through on the fall side, at least during this time. And then I'll go and catch up on seasonals. It's like Gachi Akata and Tojima Kamen Rider. And then my Awkward Senpai are like the 3 that I'm really keeping up with. Awkward Senpai is just kind of there. I'm watching it, so Tyler will get off my case. It's cute, though.
Yeah, he's definitely onto the My Awkward Senpai. That was another one where I read the write-up and I'm like, oh no.
It's extremely vanilla. It is vanilla with vanilla bean paste and just...
Tyler keeps talking about it to the point where I'm like, I'm probably going to have to end up watching this. So on our podcast, we like to do what we call surprise catch-ups. And it's like shows that we've recommended to each other or we've talked about previously. And so I think that might end up being like a surprise catch-up for me for him. Because I definitely did not start the season thinking about watching it.
I've yet to watch it too.
You just kind of put it on, set it, and forget it. I mean, it's cute, but I'm just like, it's all the tropes that you know and love. So,
which is why I didn't pick it up to begin with. But
well, speaking of familiar tropes, we're of course talking about today's episode topic is Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, and as always, I put out a little ask for comments over here. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, the community spotlight is something that we do every episode, and I figured let's try it as more like an icebreaker segment. This is the first time trying the new format here. So the community spotlight this month, I thought, well, there's a wide variety of skills and power and expression in the Demon Slayer Corps. So I asked our folks, you are a trainee in the Demon Slayer Corps. What's your breathing technique? How would you, how are you going to be a badass Demon Slayer? Or you can take one from the show or make up your own technique. And I thought we were going to have a nice little thing of, I'm going to be a fire breather. I'm going to do wind, or I'm going to combine such and so. I'm going to do, no, there was an assignment and I apparently didn't get the memo because our two commenters, first off, we have Fallen Snow Kiku, friend of the show, regular. She says, my breathing technique is the asthma breathing. Good God. Where for training, I do nothing but sit around, watch anime, and eat Doritos for months at a time. When it's time to try out for the Demon Slayer Corps, I flunk out immediately and get eaten on the way back down the mountain. Joke's on the demon, though. I don't taste good. Okay.
It'd be a friend of Zenjutsu, too. Yeah.
And then to follow it up, we had Captain N, one of the hosts of the Retrotopia podcast. He says, my breathing technique creates a rhythmic style where I clutch my chest and bend over using a wall for support. I believe it's called the panic attack. You need a hug. You need a hug.
Anxiety monster.
Yeah, anxiety breathing and asthma breathing. I was like, I had this whole idea of I like the sound breathing Tenzin, and I like his weapons. So I was like, well, no one uses axes. You got the stone. You got the stone Hashira with his, axe and a freaking ball on a chain. It's like, I'm going to be that guy. Give me axes and hatchets and I'll be the timber chopper. You got all the elements.
Well, it is steampunk era of Japan, so it's basically you be like chopping block.
Yeah, so that's it. The whole thing is around chopping. No, my breathing technique is the sigh of frustration that you get from me having to read those comments out. That's my breathing technique. And everyone else around me just gets exasperated.
My breathing technique would be the bad breath breathing technique because nobody likes bad breath, right?
Don't you start.
And then bad breath is airborne. So what it does is the bacteria from the bad breath gets into the demon and it just starts to kill him from
there. You know what? That would be number one.
It's breathing.
Honest.
I thought you were screwing with me for a second, but actually that was pretty cool.
Well, it's almost like a one punch man like technicality.
See?
Yeah.
See?
It's a one punch man technicality for sure.
So you use Shrek breathing. Got it.
Yes. Yes, Shrek breathing. We can call it Shrek breathing.
It's my sport now.
Shout out to Eddie Murphy. I'm watching that documentary on Netflix.
You ever seen Venture Brothers?
It's been a good while, but...
Well, there's one episode in second season or first season, one of the seasons, early seasons, where Breck is essentially about to get hit by a car by the Venture Brothers' mom. And he just has the stoic, almost like a Bruce Lee meditation pose, and sure enough, he falls through the window. So mine would be a car crashing breathing technique. You just kill anybody that goes through a car.
Oddly specific. I think you'd have to wait 30 years, but sure. I think there'd be a demon roadster.
You could call that the truck demon technique.
You said it. I wasn't going to say it. You said it.
The isekai starter.
No, you're surviving the wreck. That's the Natsukai. You're done. You're good.
Natsukai.
You just keep walking.
Yeah.
Wordplay.
That's the lowest level of wordplay I could just think in the moment. Oh my gosh. Well, that was certainly a way to open the episode. So yeah, Demon Slayer. Yeah, bad breath.
Bad breath breathing technique.
Oh my gosh.
Genius.
All right.
You're sighing because of the whole time, so you're getting more powerful.
Yeah, my power only grows. I'll take.
He knows his community.
Yeah, I'll be taking down those upper ranks in no time. All right. Well, I'm going to start us off with. So I'm going to run through. I have a summary, and then I'm going to start us off with a general rundown, and then I'll start us with the director, and then we'll just go into our experience with the series. This is the basic premise. So ever since the death of his father, Tanjiro Kamado has supported his family, and although times are hard, his family is happy. Until one day that happiness is shattered by a man-eating demon who slaughters his family, leaving the lone survivor, his sister Nezuko, now herself transformed into a demon. However, Nezuko still shows signs of rational thought and human emotion, prompting Tanjiro to seek his ultimate destiny in order to find a cure. Tanjiro must join the Demon Slayer Corps, an elite clan of swordsmen sworn to eradicate the demonic threats preying upon the innocent in the night. A demon has only two known weaknesses, decapitation or direct exposure to sunlight, and in order to claim the answers he seeks, Tanjiro must gather his strength and allies before it becomes too late for Nezuko to regain her humanity, if such a miracle is possible in the first place. And from there, you have the exam, joining the Corps. He goes on missions. He meets friends, Inosuke and Zenitsu. You have the upper rank of elite swordsmen, the Hashira. And then, of course, Mr. Michael Jackson himself, Muzan Kibutsuji. I hope I said that right. Yep. Several different arcs, learning more about our characters along the way. So the general rundown of the series this far. This is, of course, based on the manga Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, written and illustrated by Kiyoharu Gotoge, and published in Weekly Shonen Jump from February 2016 to about May 2020. And Demon Slayer continues to be one of the best selling manga series of all time. Absolute plethora of awards. I can't remember the year exactly, but I remember there were articles where Demon Slayer alone made up the majority of manga sales in Japan. And Demon Slayer alone outsold the entirety of American comics one year. And I'm pretty sure it was off the heels of Mugen Train, because that's when it really just went insane. So Demon Slayer, the anime, is of course animated by Studio Ufotable. Their identity as a studio has consistently been animating high quality and flashy fight scenes through an in-house blend of 2D and 2D animation with 3D visual effects, and of course now 3D environments. They got their start around video game CG work, so they've also led them to adapting anime for Tales of Symphonia, as well as God Eater, the animation. Their big breakout hit during all of that, or their first original hit, was Kara no Kyokai, The Garden of Sinners. This was a 7-movie film series in collaboration with writers from Type Moon, which then led to Ufotable's big mainstream breakout hits with Fate Zero and, of course, Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, and the rest of the franchise entries that they've done. Of course, for additional information regarding Ufotable, including their founder, Hikaru Kondo, and of course his cafe initiative, you can check out our studio rundown episode on Ufotable. It's right there in the list. Check it out after you finish this episode. So general rundown of the anime so far. Season 1 of Demon Slayer premiered in the spring 2019 and has had regular yearly sequel entries as well as spin-offs, quickly growing into the currently most popular anime series and just shattering records previously thought unattainable for anime and somewhat Japanese media in particular. So after season 1 was 2020's Mugen Train, the biggest film of 2020, and also became the highest grossing Japanese and anime film just combo of all time. And it took the number 1 spot from 2016's Your Name, Makoto Shinkai's, which had previously taken it from Spirited Away with Hayao Miyazaki. And these were considered Studio Ghibli had held the number 1 Japanese film spot for over a decade. And it was bigger than the Titanic in Japan. So Your Name was a really big deal in 2016 for toppling what was seen at the time industry titan. And Mugen Train took Your Name to the woodshed for box office numbers. So really big. This was just out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Or I was about to say, Japan's box office numbers are modest, and it's amazing that they don't predict billions and trillions. It's just a matter of there's a reason why Spirited Away was almost a 20-year king. Even their in-house productions for last regular independent films to bigger budget films are modest. That's the thing, and that's why it's just going through astronomical heights, over 200, 300, 400%.
Yeah,
profits.
Just absolutely insane for the budget. And so after that, we had 2021's We're Back to TV series, the Entertainment District arc for 11 episodes that ran from December 21 until February 22. Next year was Swordsmith Village arc, another 11 episodes. 2024 was the Hashira training arc with 8 episodes, which is what happened to the episode count. But 2 of those, and even the ones with 11 episodes, they had basically a double length episodes, and Hashira training had 2 double length episodes. So they're still equivalent run times to a 13 episode series. And of course, obviously in 2025, the Infinity Castle arc part 1, Akaza, just took Mugen Train to the cleaners with the biggest box office opening weekend for anime ever. Outpaced Mugen Train. I think the final numbers were solidly past $750 million worldwide, which is insane for the anime and just Japanese films in general.
Yeah, and crossing over with Hollywood too, with the movie theater business kind of declining with streaming and stuff. Now it's becoming a wild card here, and it's been an open secret for years with anime, select theater, limited release anime films.
Right, and before this, it was really just the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super that were seen as the big flagship ones. But of course, everyone would just kind of, the general consensus around those were like, yeah, these are fine, but it's Dragon Ball. Obviously, everyone's going to go watch it. That was just seen as a given because it was such an institutional thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then here comes Demon Slayer, less than 5 years after the manga hit store shelves, and it's doing this kind of performance. So,
and it's probably it could hit the billion because I think it just opened, or it's opening up in China now, right?
Yeah, that's gonna do it.
So wow, with all that being said, and what a heck of a way to prime us up to get ready to talk about this show. So to kind of kick us off, what are your personal histories with the Demon Slayer franchise and your personal stories, and kind of get us started off at the top level here?
I remember distinctly the first time I watched it. It was literally the day it debuted, and it was one of those things where me and Jamal, how we got working through the airport bookstore in Chicago, O'Hare Airport, and essentially it's like one of those things where all those years catching up on Crunchyroll, Netflix, you name it, and it was after a long day at work. I come straight home, so I see the bumper. I say, hey, Demon Slayer. I like my samurai. I had no freaking clue that this would be one of the greatest shonen of all time. It was almost like the show was like the pinnacle of what anime fandom is going to be. Because after watching that show, that first episode, and finishing the season and going through the movies, and up to this point, record-breaking numbers, the all-time greatest selling anime film, now we're in a whole new world of what this fandom can do, and it's wonderful. It's almost like a realization that you have to, if you put all this anime history in together, Demon Slayer has to be mentioned.
Like Jack said, we worked together, so this was in the time where I really wasn't watching a lot of anime. I was just starting to get back into it. I really only just kept up with Dragon Ball and occasionally Pokemon. If I played the game, I'll watch some episodes to see who's this Pokemon that I'm playing with or whatever. This was right around time where I slowly started getting back into it. And I know I didn't catch the premiere, but I definitely saw it the first season after it ended.
Yeah, and I believe we talked about it here and there.
I caught on to it, and I think, just to kind of piggyback off of what Jack was saying, it kind of hit at the perfect time. The perfect time, because we're transitioning, at least here in the States. We're really transitioning away from the physical media. And that's why I'm impressed with both of you. I want to give both of you your flowers, because you both have an impeccable physical media collection. All the video stores are gone for the most part. You might have one or here and there. This was when Redbox was big, and even Netflix is slowly at this point starting to phase out their DVD rental system. So it's kind of hit at the time where we're transitioning to this digital age. It struck me because I like sword fighting. Like the samurais and the ninjas and stuff. It kind of really kick-started this darker shonen phase that we're going into too. You have Demon Slayer, you got Jujutsu Kaisen, you got Chainsaw Man, you got Gachi Akuda. You have it's not the cheery Naruto.
Yeah. And Naruto had dark themes, but it was Demon Slayer was no, we're doing the old school shit. We're doing the grindhouse shit too.
Demon Slayer is a Shonen Jump template anime to its core, and that's a good template to follow. There's a reason that it works.
Yeah.
And you can tell when it's following it, and other times when it's going, oh, we're going to actually do a little twist on this formula. So it's one of those. It's also big seat change kind of series where a lot of people are going to, we've seen plenty of folks try to do Demon Slayer. Plenty of failed shonen manga try to be Demon Slayer, do Demon Slayer's thing without understanding what made it so great. Demon Slayer is certainly one of those that feels very much in contemporary with the things around it, but also just kind of like that new step forward, that extra ingredient. And I think Tanjiro's character is really at the core of what makes it what makes him so different from the other protagonists, and how his influence shapes the cast around him. I think that's the where the little secret sauce here.
Another thing that we have to speak on when we talk about Demon Slayer is just the animation.
Yes.
That's such a huge part of it. It's just the top tier animation that it's getting. Like you're sitting there and you're watching those episodes on TV and you're like, this is near movie quality. They're putting a lot into this and they're getting a lot out of it. To the point where I think the animation kind of overshadows the show a bit.
Absolutely. The animation really carries the show. Dialogue's fine, but yeah, this is a show where all of this makes also, I think, it's just a show that's good for clips. If you have a good fight scenes and if you clip very well, I mean, every time the most popular and you talk to an athlete and NFL, college, it's always something JJK, Demon Slayer, One Piece, and just all the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you like it? Oh, it's so cool. It just looks so great. And again, good animation, good camera movement, good direction. I'd also seen this around its premiere, or really like after the series ended, the season 1. So I watched season 1, and it was right about the time that Mugen Train was getting ready to come out. I ended the show, and I was like, "This is fine. This is good. I like this." And this is the same reaction I had to My Hero Aka. I watched the first season. I watched a little bit of the second season of that, and I haven't engaged with My Hero Academia at all since then. I have nothing against it. I was just like, that was fine. That was nice. Moving on. And so season 1 of Demon Slayer for me was 2019. That was very nice. It really wasn't until this year when we had Infinity Castle, the movie. I originally had no plans to go see this movie. And I was like, happy for the fans. Here you go, enjoy. And I got an invite from a friend, and it ended up turning into this big group date kind of a thing. And we sat down and watched Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Again, my wife had no freaking idea what it was. But the week before we sat down to watch the movie, I said, well, I'm going to get caught up on Demon Slayer. Like this may just be the time. And so I did not rewatch season 1. I basically just did the Cliff Notes. What do I need to remember from 6 years ago? And then I started from Mugen Train and worked all the way through that entire week. I binged all of Demon Slayer. And so by the time it was time for Infinity Castle, I was ready. And I even asked my wife, do you want like a 5-minute TLDR? No? Oh, okay. Enjoy.
I had a similar experience that you had with Mugen Train, in that I took my wife to see it because I was going to go see it with Jesse, a friend of our show, and a friend of mine. He's been on our show a couple times, and we were going to go see it. And my mom said, "Hey, can I come with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so, Jesse gets her to run down what the show's about. And she was just like, well, okay. She's like, does anybody kill themselves in this? Because she likes all that,
she's smart. Christina's a smart cookie.
She was in her sad things. She liked all the sad stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, does anybody kill themselves in this? And I'm like, I can't tell you. And so when they get to the scene where he's just like chopping his neck to try to get out the thing,
just turns into Inception. Yeah.
And she's just bawling, and he's over there crying. So I had like 2 adults next to me just crying their eyes out. And I'm
Mugen Train's, I think if you're going to take someone to watch it blind, like Mugen Train's a much better film to go in blind than freaking Infinity Castle.
Yeah,
I was sitting here going, I made this analogy after watching Chainsaw Man, the Reze arc. My analogy was, imagine if you're trying to get someone into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, okay? And actually, I'm just going to use this for Mugen Train. I'm just going to say this for Mugen Train. If you're trying to get someone into the Marvel Universe, you don't start them at Infinity War. Mugen Train is like Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It's like an in-between arc, but you can guess who Captain America is. You can get what's going on. You don't have to see his origin story. It's Captain America. He's the super soldier now. And you're like, oh, who's this person? Who's the Black Widow? You'll learn who she is. It's really fun as a film. And then you can tell at the end, they start setting up more things. And then Infinity Castle is the obvious Infinity War Part 1. You're not just going to jump someone into it. And so from that kind of deal.
Infinity Castle, it's almost like a cheat code. It's what we're used to with OVAs and stuff for, the older fashioned anime fans. Newer fans definitely can't just jump in right off the bat with Infinity Castle. it's just one of those things where, you know, this is how it's portrayed. It's just straight from the manga, literally straight from the manga. Whereas Rize arc, like Chainsaw Man, as you see in the OP with the first season, they're just movie nerds. So they had to make it super cinematic and super like on the nose with its parody, this deconstruction of film. So I could 100% give. I've yet to see it, but I'll 100% give all that kudos to Chainsaw Man for sure.
Well, speaking of narrative and structure, there, do you guys want to talk about this kind of general like through line of the narrative of Demon Slayer? Are there any like standout moments in the show? Or actually, I think aside from the animation and the fights, which of course we'll get into that a little bit more later, but what do you think about the overall just through line of Demon Slayer? You know, you have basically like the demons haunt the night, and they are representative of the fears and societal ills. And, it's the Taisho era, which is a really cool, like you said, it's like Japan's steampunk almost. And it was one of those, like one of the many industrial.
After World War I.
Yeah, it was right around there. And it was a time of like a lot of progressive ideals, such as, maybe women aren't just the property of the person that they marry into. Maybe they actually do have human rights. Right before we had, the super cultural backlash that would then bring Japan into more the imperialist ideas. The Taisho era is just a really popular time to throw in animation because you can throw all those different ideas together, both the idealism and also the fears of a society being left behind. So I've seen numerous articles kind of sitting there going like, that's kind of what maybe Kotaro-san is trying to say with like the demons, and where it's like a meeting of the modern and the classic. There's a lot to unpack, but I think that the simple through line is, it's a kid trying to do his best for his family and trying to show and trying to give humanity back to something that is, or at least put something down in an honorable fashion that has lost its humanity.
So it's a matter of like, finding out more of the ills, but it's not like a Debbie Downer about it. It's more like a reflection of like, yeah, it doesn't matter when and where. There's tough times for everybody. Is how you handle it. And Tanjiro, as you keep on watching, is that shining light example, going through trials and tribulations. It's almost its own, even more than a shonen, take on the classical hero, like Star Wars.
Like I said about the show earlier, about how the show itself just came through at this like transitional period. There's a lot of going on in the same of that going on in the show as well. I mean, you start off with Tanjiro and kind of a country kid. His family's selling in the charcoal business. He's going to town to sell the charcoal and everything. Like you said, it's that more traditional feel. And then when you transition over to season 2, when they're in the town and it's vibrant, lively. You see the lights, you see the madams, and you see Tengen with his multiple wives there. And it's just, it's just a flash from where they were, where Tanjiro came from.
The electric lights, the shock of modernity. He's just, you can see it like just hits him like a truck. Because obviously when they were on the train, they were like, holy crap, this is amazing. And like, oh my God, these are electric lights. And how does this thing work? Before the demon turned that train into a tentacle flesh pit. But
yeah, not a fun first train experience. The show and the inner workings of the show and how things were transitioning and going from that old traditional aspect into the new world, and how things are changing, and like you said, how women are viewed. This show, it treats the women with pretty good respect. You don't have a ton of fan service in this show. The women, there's women that have value in this and that are thought highly of.
Even the wives.
Well, you got a couple up in like the highest ranks. Even the wives, the Kunoichi.
Yeah. Entertainment
District arc was something else. Everybody suddenly got hot in that show, but it is the Yoshiwara district, so that is kind of the theme of it. But that is kind of interesting. When I was thinking of the Yoshiwara district and other demons, it's when we got to the upper rank in that season, I thought it was an interesting parallel of siblings versus siblings. Yeah, it was an interesting showdown. But if I'm thinking about just the general narrative through lines with Tanjiro's journey and how he approaches the world, I think what defines him the most is his empathy. And most of the time, if we have a backstory, Tanjiro's not going to know that backstory. We, the audience, will know it. A lot of the times, the narrative, if there's one negative potentially I would have to say about how it's presented, the sense of dramatic irony for the audience. There's a lot of things that just happen and that we, the audience, know, but that Tanjiro will have no way, or his crew will have no way of knowing. So he's approaching it from, you're a demon, you're trying to kill me, and you've also killed, innocent people. And so I know that you were human once. And so Tanjiro approaches his hunting as a way of trying to put them down with dignity. He is optimistic, but he's not, he's refreshingly not naive, or at least he's naive in the contemporary ways. Things about the world he still needs to learn, and things about people he still needs to learn. But he's not like, he's not Goku or Luffy or Naruto. He's much more level. If you want your Goku or Luffy, you've got Inosuke right there.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Bryce Papenbrook just goes off.
Right.
So he just, and then you have, perfect casting.
Perfect. He's right
Inosuke is always like the second favorite.
Yeah.
And, Zenitsu's there as well. I think he may, I think if I've seen like some people trying to defend him from like the manga panels, I was like, well, that's the manga, this is the anime, and the way he's portrayed in the anime is just consistently frustrating to me.
Me too. I mean, Infinity Castle changed it for me a little bit, but he was like the worst part of the show for me.
Well, there was also no transition from him being whiny really all the time until all of a sudden in Infinity Castle he's suddenly a badass. I was remembering, I'm always thinking back to one of my favorite shows of last year with the Frieren Beyond Journey's End and Stark. I was like, that's all you had to do. Yes. Just make him Stark.
Yeah. And the crazy, their character designs are similar to me.
Yeah, they're very similar.
So as I was watching Frieren, I was had that the first person that came to my mind was Nezuko. And he just to see Stark's change, and it was like, okay, why am I not getting this over here? And then you get it, and it's just very sudden. Whatever. Your Thunderclap and Flash looks cool, so that's your redeeming quality.
Yeah, it's an extremely common complaint with Demon Slayer anyway. It's like piling on Zenitsu is like beating the deadest of horses. Like we're in the splash zone at this point. It's decomposed so badly. So
they ham it up a little bit there. But Tanjiro, like you said, he does treat those demons with respect. And part of it is that he has to, because he has to believe that there's a little bit of humanity, or that they had a little bit of humanity, if he wants to believe in Nezuko.
Right.
So, he has to keep that belief. And we I feel like there was at least once, maybe it was early in the first season, when he got into an interaction with a demon. And I think that might have been one time when he heard their story and was just kind of like, like you said, he wants to treat them with some level of dignity, because they were humans before.
You also have the doctor, Tamako. I think it's Tamayo.
Yeah, Tamayo.
Yeah, Tamayo. So I mean, he knows her story, and so it gives him a little bit more. Yes. She also gives him a lot of hope, and I find that that's an interesting character to have counterbalancing with the show, and to give him essentially a side quest. Because one thing that probably doesn't come up often enough is, the reason that Tanjiro is hunting upper ranks in the first place, or when he's able to get in a position to get to upper ranks, is because he's not just taking them out just because it's the nice thing to do. Obviously, it's a great thing to do, but he's also taking blood samples so she can analyze it and try and find a cure for Nezuko. And maybe we don't have to kill Muzan in order to undo the curse that he places on all of demon kind. So 99% of all the demons are typically we're just going to try and kill you on sight. But then it does get Tamayo, and then also seeing how the Hashira view demons. They've been killing demons, some of them longer than Tanjiro has been alive. So a lot of them are very much set in their ways. And I think that's another way of when I'm thinking about what I really enjoy about Demon Slayers and Tanjiro's message of empathy and compassion, I think mainly about where the Hashira start and where they are when you go into when we go into the Infinity Castle. Now that they've all had their, kumbaya fun time with Tanjiro over the training arc.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wish that they focused on that a little more with him having to collect the blood sample, because that was something that really stood out to me early, and they just kind of dropped it. Like it's like you're supposed to just know it's there.
Another thing that I remember when I was thinking about after I was watching Mugen Train in particular, again, I really love when we started to get introduced to the Hashira, so like Rengoku gone too soon. But what I really thought after the end of Mugen Train was, Akaza's going to be a little rival character. He's going to show up every now and then and, stick his butt out at Tanjiro. Come get me, asshole. And no, he never did that.
Well,
Akaza like ran away, and he's in the next time we see him, he's like in the castle, and he's just fuming. At the same time, none of the other demons are like that either, because Muzan just has such a tight control over all of them. Nobody wants to be a henchman for this guy. That's like probably one of the worst jobs in the world. I think if you go a little bit out of line, Muzan just goes, all right, that's it, you're juice again. He's like Father in Full Metal Alchemist. He'll just melt a homunculus and make him again. Do over.
Speaking of Full Metal Alchemist, that's where it was like one of the selling points for the show, as I described to Jamaal at one point. It's like, yeah, it's an epic feel, like Full Metal Alchemist. And like confession, like it's essentially one of those weird things about me as an anime fan. I'm not like a true shonen fan. One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, even Bleach. It's like one of those things where it had to be a certain time for me to be an anime fan to appreciate it and to watch every episode. So that's like the building blocks of, the history of anime, the 2000s and early 2010s, where shonen is its own thing, eventually isekai becoming its own thing, high school romance becoming its own thing. And not in a million years would I thought I'd be back in that sphere, or like wanting to have more shonen after Demon Slayer. Because of Full Metal Alchemist and Brotherhood, my initial early favorites, stapling what anime can do, and my preference in terms of like watching a show, Demon Slayer morphs both of them. And Full Metal is that quintessential adventure anime where it was the strongest precursor towards how epic this show is going to be.
I can agree with you. It does. Demon Slayer definitely does have like that. It does have that epic feel to it, and I think the animation goes a long way to help that.
Absolutely, the animation is just, again, mentioned it at the top, just crazy top tier, and it's Ufotable doing Ufotable things. Again, they've had that consistent in-house staff development, and thanks to the returns largely from Demon Slayer, starting around like in 2021, you'll still go through like their production credits on Demon Slayer. And there's a list of, studios a mile long that are doing like second key animations and a couple of in-betweens. But then also you'll sit there and go in-betweens, Ufotable's listed there, and they have all 26 episodes. And you'll see second key animation, Ufotable, all 26 episodes. I mean, obviously, like other studios will have that as well. But in an age where there's so much anime and so much is being outsourced, even if you go to something like Kyoto Animation, nothing is ever made in a vacuum is what I'm trying to say. But
right.
Ufotable has developed that reputation of, this is our in-house staff. Demon Slayer 2019 starts off as, really incredible stuff. And the battles in the snow and all of the different environments, the twisting, before we had the Infinity Castle, we had the that mansion where the demon was, hitting the drum and shifting the room around. That was super cool. And it blended really well.
Really cool.
It blended really well. Yes. And then you had the breathing effect techniques. Like, they were really just hitting on all cylinders. And you can see that improvement year over year over year. How many other series, I know we're in the fall season and, One Punch Man just continues to be pummeled. So, I mean, like, how many other series, the next one I'm thinking of that just had that consistent staff return is still a couple of years ago, but I'm thinking like Mob Psycho 100, and obviously like One Piece with Toei and things, their in-house stuff. But Attack on Titan even changed studios, and you have
They did. Yeah.
the fun part about the staff rundown for Demon Slayer is it's literally the same people at the top in every single time. And it's not like you would see when shows take a production break and someone would go over to this other studio. Like, it's not just that the same staff's been here. The same staff has been on, like, they've been working through Demon Slayer basically, if we're thinking premiered 2019, so production would have begun probably planning stage, I imagine, was like 2017 at the earliest, or even at 2016. But, by the time Infinity Castle's done, these people are going to be working on nothing but Demon Slayer for a decade. So refining the same techniques over and over and over again.
Yeah, it became we did that Crunchyroll and end of the year awards commentary episodes, and we always joke around like, oh, Demon Slayer is going to be nominated for art design, character design,
and like you said, the returns on that investment has, not only has it like maintained that level of quality, they've been seeing financial returns on that too, because people have gravitated towards it. So like the financial returns that they're getting allows them to go, okay, let's keep these people in, let's keep this the way it's going. So it all, you'd love to have those big hits like that can fund these other projects, and it's not easy out there for these studios.
They get that one paycheck and that's it. So yeah, Ufotable could have produced a 500, 700, like $1 billion movie, but they've already been paid. So it's kind of like with the cafe initiative, part of the rundown was some of the discovery of the financial scandal was, hey, the cafe is the only thing keeping us really afloat, like really like being able to sock back money. Cause I'm really hoping that through this, it's good, consistent work and they're able to negotiate some kind of better profit share kind of deal with it. With, of course, you can do, they get plenty of money through their cafes and collaborations with the Demon Slayer stuff.
Yeah, and you piggyback off of that because the planning itself had to take risks. And part of my theory with Infinity Castle, like, it feels like they had to make a jump. They had to convince the studios to do 3 films. That's tough because they technically had that Entertainment District Arc quote-unquote movie, which was slapped around, and it was just a money grab type of project anyway. But Mugen Train, of course, being successful as it is, 3 movies in a row.
Do you guys want to take a quick break? I can stop this recording and I'm going to download it, and then we'll start the new one. So I'll do the general staff rundown, and we'll talk about favorite characters, standout, or like Hashira folks. And the music.
No worries. I'll grab a little cup of water.
Yeah, and mad props to the creative staff. I'm going to rip through the director and animation directors and art folks. Of course, directed by Haruo Sotozaki. And he entered Ufotable back through a little show called Weiss Kreuz, specifically Weiss Kreuz Gluhin, which was Ufotable Studios' like first television anime series. And he'd been the animation director on the original, like the first season of Weiss Kreuz over at Studio Magic Buzz. And then he came over to Ufotable in 2002. And after that, his actual directorial debut, so he was not the director of Weiss Kreuz, he was the animation director on Weiss Kreuz for both of those seasons. His directorial debut was 2004 with a Ninja Nonsense, more like a comedy series, probably ecchi show, but I don't think it was an ecchi show. I think it's more like just a comedy. But Ufotable animated that one, an early one you don't think of associating Ufotable with, but you got to start somewhere. He was the director for the Tales of Symphonia and Tales of Zestria OVAs. That was his big thing. So we had other directors on the Fate series. So all of the adaptations of Tales of Symphonia and Tales of Zestria, this is where Haruo Sotozaki kind of cut his teeth, alongside character designer and chief animation director Akira Matsushima. And these two guys are frequent collaborators, again, beginning with Tales of Symphonia and moving right along all the way through Demon Slayer. These two guys have been in lockstep. But Matsushima-san has been an animation director for the Rurouni Kenshin television anime. That was the 90s. So from 96 to 98, he was the character designer for the OVAs as well. Those were also helmed by Studio Dean. And so around 2007, this is when he moved to Ufotable, and when he started on Tales of Symphonia. And again, he continued with those OVA series until they got underway. And as well as art direction, all of the head of the environmental work. He's done a lot of backgrounds as well. This is a guy named Koji Eto. One thing that I consistently praise for Demon Slayer is just it's absolutely, again, the animation style is there, but like the environments are always just incredibly detailed, and everything is just so vibrant and lived in and just very colorful. And so a lot of credit goes to Koji Eto and his team. He's bringing art direction experience from Steins Gate and Psycho Pass. And so again, he joined Ufotable with Fate Zero, and he worked on Unlimited Blade Works. And the whole time he was also producing backgrounds for all of those series. So again, Steins Gate, Psycho Pass, Fate Zero, Unlimited Blade Works. Again, I remember when UBW popped off and everyone was like, holy crap, Ufotable's the studio to watch. He's got a lot to do with that for leading the art team on there. So just absolutely nuts. The kind of wider staff credits as well. Just all of the key animators that you've seen starting with the show and continuing through, just everyone from the ground up. Is because, like I said at the top of the episode, they started with this show and it's just been better and better and better.
And like you said, Dave, like they go through so many just vastly different environments. Starting from the first season, when they're in town and they have the arc where they're trying to get into the Slayer Corps and everything, to the second season when they're in the entertainment district. And then you go back to the Swordsmith Village, which is more of that muted towny look, and then everything that's going on with the Hashira training arc, with the different Hashira, and you got the waterfalls in the background, and you got
God, the way they animate water is just nuts. It's consistently
insane.
Just good. That is,
yeah.
Art direction is sometimes, and art design is consistently underrated in shows. Everyone likes to highlight the fights. But I mean, really, like the way that the trees move, the flower designs, the texture of the wood, and again, also props to their sound design as well. Like, just nuts.
I was about to say, like, what we're discussing with our power forms, like the breathing. Like, naming me a better show with the breathing. Like, even like a Bruce Lee film. Like, that's like closest comparison. So
the way all of that is visualized, and again, a lot of that, and it blends so well because it's very much obvious. Like, you can look at it and go, okay, yeah, that is obviously CGI, but just the way that they're able to animate it to make it look 2D and like what am I trying to think of? Like, it's a woodblock print, but also tatami screens, or the privacy screens you would have up in palaces, in those tatami rooms, that kind of style, yeah. The exact term is escaping me, but it's just Kamigawa's Great Wave, when Tanjiro starts doing and Giyu start doing water breathing, just evokes that kind of artistic style, and then just the whole vibe of the East meets West. And the traditional clothing, the way the kimono and all of the hakama move. Just, again, the clothing is also just another underrated aspect, like the wardrobes in this show, both in the uniforms and the Western clothing. Everything is just animated to the nines, and just there's a good consistent style of, again, just really drives that message of the traditional clashing with the encroachment of the modern. The old is giving way to the new.
And with the character Muzin as Udok, it looks like Michael Jackson. But that's the thing. It's almost like he's seen the future. There's this abnormal type of like eeriness. He's of the time, but ahead of the time too. So it's this is a freaking villain, man.
Yeah, he's so alien too, and it's. Even the arcs where he's a kid, I'm going, yeah, that's you are a kid in a horror series. You are that kid who's going to turn into the evil, nasty monster and kill everyone in the hotel. Like, you are not a good boy. You are a very bad boy. What a great villain. And again, a quick shout out to CG direction with Kazuki Nishiwaki and his team. He's been around with Ufotable since 2010's A Tales of Symphonia, And then all of the 3D CG layouts on Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night, and Garden of Sinners actually went into full CG director, beginning with Tales of Zestria, Token Rambu, and then he was the CG director again on Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel, the movie trilogy, and then they moved him over to Demon Slayer full time. So again, all of the Fate Stay stuff that was going on before all of this, and then to bring that stylistics of the way they translate all of the manga action onto the screen is some really solid work. And just the way that they're able to blend it almost just so seamlessly. Also with, what was it? Yeah, the Mist Hashira, the way that he dissolve, like he just seems to dissolve. Like I'm sitting there going like, how did they do that? Because it wasn't just like he just faded away. It's like parts of him were fading before others. It was like the 2D itself was just dissolving in front of my eyes at bits. It's like, wow, that is just so cool. There's so many instances of that.
Do you know, like, another show that you liked that I watched that I thought did well too was To Be Hero X?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a show that it almost feels like a distant cousin of Demon Slayer, just because of the way they blended, the way it blended together, and how, they kind of inverted things, where we usually see the 2D and then the fights that go 3D. They kind of reversed it. But it had that Demon Slayer feel where it's like there's a lot that's going on, but they put so much attention to these things.
Very flashy and kinetic. But one thing I've always enjoyed about just anime in general, when we're talking about action anime, is just how much they borrow cinematography, particularly from kung fu movies, especially when you have in like the samurai films, because there aren't, like, certainly you'll have cuts and everything, but what I appreciate is how they're able to go like fix the camera in one spot and just let the action speak for itself. If you want to punch out, you're going to see every move, counter move. None of this throwing a guy over the shoulder, cut to some other angle, he hits the floor, cut again. It is it's consistently clean, consistently done. And this is the perfect kind of series. Again, a sword fight where you're able to not only just get in close and get into the emotions of everybody's face and the slow motion as well. I think the show, for the most part, does slow motion pretty well. I think a couple of times, like in the movies, it gets a little bit much, or especially when you have like the bigger fights after, because frankly, after Mugen Train, the series like just jumps the shark with its power scaling.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of slow motion moments where the reaction times of these upper rank guys are so fast that it'll be like slow motion and the sword is like, a millimeter from their neck and they're still able to dodge it.
And we were talking about video games, like, how like they show the demos, like this is the actual game playing type of stuff. Like the OP of Demon Slayer is that, like how you mentioned, like even like the cuts with the eyes, cuts with the swords, the in between action between villain and hero. Like this is what the show actually is, not just this OP.
Right.
And the third season, especially Sword Smith-Villain, that's my favorite OP of the bunch so far, because that's total pacing, total like creativity throughout a whim of a minute. Like, peak. Also
helps to have Man with a Mission on vocals for that OP.
Oh yeah. Astounding voices, and that one part with the eye, with Tanjiro's eye like circling in, being ready to blaze up his sword. Chef's kiss.
I do like in the openings as well, where they go, okay, this is the arc, and so you have your cut scene and you have the your cut in, and then they show the logo, and behind the logo are all the primary characters of the arc. Every single time. I think that's a cool touch.
From Entertainment District.
From Entertainment District onward, I think it was pretty... Well, actually, they also started it with the first season, but again, it's really only Tanjiro. It's like who's usually cut away in there. Like they did it with Mugen Train. It was Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Rengoku, and Inosuke in the jump away. So I like that they kept that consistent visual thing, which I believe is a manga callback.
Yeah. And you brought up the first OP, that like when we're talking about samurai films, that is like a traditional black and white feel, like a Kurosawa film where it just pans out and just has him run like straight through the field. Like, here we go. And that's literally the day one I saw of the show. I'm like, this OP, let me tell you, Holy cow.
Just in the theme songs, I was going through, I was like, obviously Lisa is the shoe-in for getting us all started here, and she's a massive singer, and every time I hear her sing, I was like, man, she is just so freaking cool. And so she's been the most consistent voice.
Very talented.
Extremely talented. Lisa, I mean, obviously she's been there season 1. They brought her as main singer for the Mugen Train ending credits, and then they brought her back for Infinity Castle. So she's got the most songs in the series for the theming. But I mean, obviously you've got Angel B, it's Crossing Field from Sword Art Online, were her other really big ones that I know her for. Aimer, I think Aimer.
Aimer. She's my personal favorite. I prefer her over.
Yeah, as far as her openings, because she came in with Entertainment District, and she was the opening credits for Infinity Castle Part 1.
Yes.
Obviously, she came in with also Fate Stay Night and Limited Blade Works, the Nier Automata anime. I also like her song from Spice and Wolf, the second opening for Merchant. Also, a little underrated series for her as well, Terror and Resonance.
Yes.
Not an opening, but like a theme song for her. And then, of course, obviously, Man with a Mission coming in with Swordsmith Village, just rocking it out. I mean, there's a million songs with them. What do you want? My Hero Academia, we got you. Raise Your Flag from Iron Blooded Orphans, we got you. Inuyashiki, there you go. Freaking Database from Log Horizon, Dark Crow for Vinland Saga, and for Swordsmith Village, they also brought in Millet, so who I know her also from Vinland Saga and Frieren, as well as doing Ranking of Kings. You're telling me they teamed up and did the theme song for Swordsmith Village? Chef's freaking kiss. And not to be outdone by that, we have mother freaking Hyde coming in here, Mr. Rockstar himself. Again, my first anime was Full Metal Alchemist 2003. So obviously, Hyde, Ready, Steady, Go, and great teacher Onizuka, Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit. So I mean, just
it's GTO. That was a phenomenal song. Yeah.
Yeah, GTO. I love great teacher Onizuka. That's one of my favorite anime openings. Just style and just everything, the way that it works. So I mean, just you're talking about the cream of the crop for just anime pop and rock songs. Oh my goodness.
And that's just the starting point with the music.
That's just the theme songs.
Yeah, because the composition itself, like even though those songs are great, like top tier openings and closings.
You got Yuki Kajiura and Go Shiina.
Okay, yeah.
And so you've got the guy who's composed. He's primarily a video game composer. So like Yuki Kajiura is obviously for anime folks. Dot Hack, Tsubasa Reservoir, Madoka Magica. Also Sword Art and Fate Zero. So, I mean, she's very much familiar, but Go Shiina is a video game composer for Bandai Namco. So you've got him doing God Eater, Tales of Zestria, and of course he also worked on the anime adaptations with Ufotable. Tekken, a little bit more experimental, but Kyoso Giga, y'all heard of Kyoso Giga? Alice in Wonderland meets Kyoto. So, but I mean, yeah, like you said, arrangements, just everything about this soundtrack is just epic, orchestral. Yeah. They got the choir coming in.
Yeah, and the most annoying character on the show has the best theme song too, Zenzu's theme. Where the range of it itself is almost like impossibly profound, and it's eerily the most underrated, underappreciated, because once you hear it in a movie trailer, I bet, a modern one, like people will be sold on that movie. Like, and it's from the most annoying character in the show.
You got to give him something.
All right, here's another sidetrack. So it's something that I've talked about like a lot recently when we've done our wrestling streams is like presentation and how you present a person, or in this case, a property, makes a big difference. They put a lot into they invest a lot in this property, because you guys are talking about the music and the OPs and the indie. That all goes towards making this feel big, making it feel epic. We're going to get somebody in here that we know is going to knock out a nice opening for us. That's going to grab people. I mean, this is anime, man.
Anime openings have always been an experience, and Demon Slayer knows how to truly elevate that experience. It's your chief marketing tool in some cases.
It can make or break things, man. So, like, again, it's the presentation around the show. You got a great opening, that's going to draw people in. You could put that opening on YouTube and it could get millions of views, and that's going to get people to go, I'll watch this. All of this plays a role into the care and the investment that this studio put into the property. It means so much. And those are like the little things that, all people talk about is the animation with this show. And it frustrates me because like it is great. But, as we're talking about, the music is phenomenal in this show. Like you can't take that away from this and the importance that it has in making this such a big property.
It's such a great soundtrack too. Like they do everything. They got traditional orchestra, then you got Japanese traditional woodwinds, the shamisen, taiko, and then they just start dropping the synth.
Yeah.
Like they throw absolutely everything in there. That's kind of where I feel like the video game influence really starts coming in when, like, because I've always seen like Yuki Kajiura, of course, so she'll play with synths and things, and it's like, we've seen artists like obviously Sawano, the Sawano drop. My big recent one has been like Kevin Penkin. Yeah, Attack on Titan and stuff. My big one's been like Kevin Penkin after Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss is also an incredibly greedy soundtrack. Yeah. It is just so many things going on. And so I really like this especially recent trend of folks just being able to just throw the kitchen sink at something and it still be not only completely legible and have a clear through line, but just really truly just elevate the property just consistently.
Recent one with Evan Call, for free, and I get it.
Evan Call, yes, that's the other one.
He's just a show off. Like, there's this one part where it's like the best violin music you'll ever hear, but it's only like 5 seconds. I'm like, nah, this guy, this freaking guy.
Yeah, and it also helps to have a really stacked cast, but like they really do. Everyone just brings their all. I don't want to go like all in. We've been talking a good amount already, but I'll just go ahead and say on the floor. Are there any standout voice performances you want to highlight? I mean, obviously, I find the main cast to be really, really good. I mean, you've got Zach Aguilar, Alex Lee, Bryce Papenbrook, of course, Crispin Freeman. You've got all the big folks. Ray Chase, Johnny Youngbosch is Giyu.
Yes.
I mean, you start going through and on the Japanese side. Yeah, Natsuki Hane, Akira Kito, let's see. Yeah, Inosuke is Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, Ari Ozawa. I mean, just all through here. Sari Hayami, yeah, Shinobu is Sayori, Tomokazu Seki. Oh, I mean, obviously, like, everyone is just giving it their all. And I've already mentioned, like, I love Bryce Papenbrook's performance. I think Zach also just really nails it as Tanjiro, brings across the earnestness of Tanjiro. I think he really just nails that performance, and he can get mad when he needs to be. Always like solid performances all around. Like I really just have no complaints either way for anyone in this. Like I have no shortcomings with this dub.
I've heard here and there with the dub. I've been meaning to check with at least with the movies with the dub, but man, like, as annoying as you can get, just on the threshold, even like just below Zenzetsu, but Inosuke's Japanese dub with Yoshitsugu Matsuko Suoko, it's a Shuo Mofune brilliance. They have that continued on energy, that robust yelling voice with the cackle. Like I could do this all day, man. I could do this all freaking day. And he, the only other notable role I know of his is also the main character, the guy in Quintessential Quintuplets. Just think of that think of that polar opposite right there.
Yoshitsugu Matsuoka.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, Matsuoka. Demon Slayer. There he is. Fake
Gachi. Zanka and Gachi.
Yeah. Soma Yukihara in Food Wars. There you go. And Bell Crannel in Danmachi. So yeah, there you go.
There you go. And then with Nezuko, Akari Kito. I showed you that GIF when we first introduced with Kotoko from Inspector. So every time we watch Inspector, that's Nezuko.
She has more to do in that show than she does in this show, to be honest.
Oh yeah, it's a comedy effect, not gonna lie, but it's also like that moment, that subtle moment where she like thanks Tanjiro, like, or even the flashbacks where it just resonates like a chime of a bell of an angel. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to her much more with Love Live Nijisaki. You know, it's one of the girls there.
There you go.
And then Toilet Bound, Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, Seiyun Sky. So yeah, she's got a number of roles. But yeah, as Nezuko, I do laugh of like seeing like there was one season where all Nezuko does is huh and grunts.
Yeah, playing on the floor.
You know, easiest paycheck in the world. But then, you know, when it is time for her to talk, and then like during flashbacks, yes, she is the perfect older sister, you know, must protect. Okay, now Nezuko goes into attack mode. It's an interesting dynamic with that one.
Yeah, and you know, just to piggyback off what you said, Jack, I was going to say, you know, both voice actors for Inosuke,
even the English, he's good in
just because of the work that they have to do. Because of how that character is, man, you got to be on
point,
level 10 the entire time. I can only imagine the damage it'll do to your voice, having to do that that's your entire. He doesn't really have the muted conversation. It's always
nothing is subtle with Inosuke. No.
Yeah, nothing subtle. So I know when both of them went into the booth for that, I know it was like a lots of tea. Let's you know, throw some honey in there, because that was work.
You know, he's also great with cosplayers. You know, an Inosuke cosplayer walked up. So there's a video where he gets into his Inosuke voice like, "What is my head doing on your head? That's mine." And then the cosplayer goes, "I'm Inosuke." And he goes, "No, I'm Inosuke." And they start getting in a shouting match. And I love you have that interaction with it. But like he'll go straight from conversational voice to "I'm Inosuke." I was like, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Just being able to pull that off, just at the drop of a hat. That is why they pay him I hope the big bucks. Probably not, but that's why they pay him the bucks. Is there anything about the actual like power system itself, the breathing techniques versus the demons, that you want to kind of touch on right now, kind of circling back a little bit into animation, but just the whole idea of ostensibly like the way that the powers are represented? It's not even so much powers, it's just different ways of breathing. Yeah. And so I imagine to the actual naked eye, it's more like we're increasing the blood flow and to let us move faster. So it's probably they're moving faster than people can follow. And then just for anime effect, they're doing all these visual stuff.
And it ties back with the story if you think about it, because at first glance, we don't think of Tanjiro as this superpower entity. And sure enough, once you follow along with the theories, quote unquote, okay. I mean, along with Nezuko as well, okay. There's a sudden secret realization that blossoms once you see how special this kid is, and that's like the ultimate like growth spurt of all the Hashira to even like the side characters.
Yeah, technique over laser.
It's like Street Fighter to me. Like every move can hit. It's just a matter of when you do it.
You know, it's fun to see like, you know, it being a breathing technique. Aside from like you know, I got this spin and it's powered by the. It's just like breathing technique. So it's like, hey, look, we gotta strengthen your lungs. Mm-hmm. you know that it's different. You know, it's those little minor differences, especially when it comes to a shonen, that makes such a big impact. So it's just like, look, man, you can swing this sword as much as you want, but if you don't have these breathing techniques down, it's going to break down your body. You're not going to make the cut. So, you know, you're increasing your power just by breathing. You're able to regenerate the healing in your body with your breathing technique. As somebody that grew up, you know, practicing martial arts and going to martial arts tournaments and everything, it was just something that I appreciated. Because, like, you know, that's something that was drilled into my head early.
And I appreciate that, at least like the series, like obviously this is a Shonen Jump deal, and like it's a Shonen deal, so you're going to have your attack names. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, ostensibly everyone's, these are attack names that they're drilling through like in their head or something, or, but I do like that it kept it to, well, yes, this is just the upper, the Hashira basically represent the martial peak, the human limit, supposedly. But I remember watching through it and I'm going, I really hope this doesn't turn into, like, it would be kind of cool to have something like Haki or like a mystical swordsman or like something like there is a mystical root in all of these. And they kind of get into it, like there is a lore attached to it. Like there was one style and then everybody adapted it to their own. But I do like that it at least kept it to, well, obviously we're doing all of this superhuman stuff, but it never went into we are using magic or that we're tapping into some sort of...
Right.
Now, obviously, that
Good
being
call.
said, Tanjiro's sense of smell and then all of a sudden he has X-ray vision. That aside, like Tanjiro's the protagonist. He's our magic boy. Ignore that for a second. Yeah. But I mean, for the
that's
most
what I kind
part,
of allude to as well, because he's just a special entity as you go along. Like, okay, I accept that because he's pure at heart, and that's part of the hero's journey too. The chosen child of destiny, similar to Luke Skywalker. Yeah, he seems normal, just a farm boy, but guess what? He's the best pilot in the universe.
It's that classic thing of at some point they I think what happens after Mugen Train, and I have a little chart that I put together in my head where I just kind of go like keep track of character progress, where, okay, what point do you get to a certain level where the upper ranks are said that they are so powerful, no one's beaten one in 100 years. So it's this monumental event. And so as soon as Tanjiro and crew take one down, it's a big deal.
Yeah, especially for swordsmen.
Yeah, especially for swordsmen. So now everybody, it's like, well, now we got to start knocking these guys down. And now they're more on guard. So how do you do that? And the answer is, like with Mugen Train, you just kind of jump the shark and you start. It's an interesting spot where Demon Slayer kind of runs afoul of this, where, again, you have your own internal logic of demons have, as you've made clear through all of these episodes, decapitation, sunlight. And so when you have an upper rank who gets decapitated and the result is, oh, now I'm mad, when they can also regenerate almost instantaneously, it gets to a point with the fights where, as much as I hate to say it, I checked out of most of the fights in Infinity Castle because I was just waiting for the final blow.
Our friend Martin made that comment too. He made that comment right at the end too, and he's like, "Now they're being inconsistent. Now this is not good." I'm like, "Okay." Because it gets to that debate territory.
And shakeups are fine. I think shakeups are fine. The changing and elevation of the stakes. But the thing is, it comes later in the series. You're practically at the end of it. Although it was an entertainment district arc. Although she had a reason because there was a whole nother side deal. Like I think that one was entertainment district arc aside. Like Swordsmith Village, the fight was just ridiculous. It was cool against the Tengu, but I was going like, it just wore me down. And so I think that's why if I'm going back and thinking about my favorite arcs, I tend to go back to Mugen Train and Entertainment District. Because yes, it was ridiculous, but it was still within some kind of realm or some kind of feasibility. It gets to a point of, everybody's so banged up that it also got to the point where it was just became predictable. Tanjiro is basically dead on his feet. And now it's time for phase 2. Get ready.
Yeah. Entertainment District, he literally had a sword up his jaw.
There is that aspect, and this is far from the only action series to fall into this trap. I'm not speaking new grievances, but if there is like one big thing that just kind of irritates me a little bit later on, it is kind of that, because I would like to invest more into the fights, and I would like to be able to see more. And I have seen shows that do it better and that do the ridiculous. I'm a big fan of Baki the Grappler, and that show is just 11 all the time.
Yeah, Jamal's a big fan
and
of
so
Baki.
Like Baki fights are freaking insane. Like nothing matters. A guy's face can get ripped off, and that's not even the end of the fight.
Oh no.
That's just
doesn't matter.
That's the start of a fight.
They set the precedent early on that you're going to see some ridiculous stuff here.
And so I think what I'm trying to say as far as with Demon Slayer is, it's fine to shake things up, but I think there was a bit where, especially like with Infinite Castle and the Akaza fight, nobody has any kind of concept for, we were treated to this long backstory with Akaza, but for Tanjiro and Giyu, for all they know, they're about to go like, oh crap, he's going to kill us. And then Akaza just punches himself to death. And they're just like, great, that was lucky, moving on.
Yeah, and then Giyu, like, now you're questioning his power levels as well. He's supposed to be the senpai. He's supposed to be the kind of like the ace in the hole for the whole, like for Ultimate Master for the water technique. So
yeah, and that's just how strong Akaza was, because he was, again, he was like upper 3.
Yeah.
Everyone is getting ready to pierce that upper level of, I know what Muzan is going to transform into. I know how he is beaten. And so if there's another hit against the ending of the manga, yeah, sure, it feels like a cop-out. But when you're raising the stakes by that much, so much consistently, when you have this one-upsmanship of Demon Slayer, it's just kind of an inevitable thing. And it's something that, again, we've seen it 1,000 times before. It's going to be the last time. It's going to be far from the last time we're going to see it. And it's fine. If it's going to look cool, absolutely. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it looks cool.
Well, you said a key word there, stakes. Because this is like a show. It takes the shonen, morphs it into adventure, and morphs it into a personal drama. Because the stakes are astounding. And it's a show that melts everything down to the nitty-gritty with the fights, to hero versus villain, but you want to root for the hero. That's why Swordsmith Village is technically my favorite. I had to do some deep thinking because it's like one of those things like, man, I don't feel like rewatching the first season because this is an epic discussion, but I know a grain of salt. Jamaal actually one year got me the Hikomi Chronicles PS4. Yeah, and that was an excellent redive. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a cool angle of it. But it's ingrained with me as well. And with Swordsmith Village, I'm like, okay, this is really fun. This is really cool. The demons are really baddies. So here on out, we're just going to have easygoing A to B, hero defeats villain, because Entertainment District was a total swerve. Like, oh, these two demons actually had a really sad backstory. And that adds on to the stakes. So it's a divide that's interesting. And if we talk about 9th form that doesn't kill the top, 3 demons, is there a 12th form, 20th form, infinite form? Doesn't matter. The stakes just morph into this one thing where Tanjiro has to conquer evil. And it doesn't do it he doesn't do it in the first arc of Infinity Castle, but he's gonna do it, and he's gonna find a way in this impossible scenario.
It is a refreshingly straightforward premise. I mean, there's no... I will say there's really not a lot of moral ambiguity within the ranks of the Demon Slayer Corps. Certainly there have been demons that coerce and threaten regular people, or say, if you do this for me, I'll turn you into a demon. Certainly there's that appeal. The people that we've seen in the Demon Slayer Corps that get turned into demons are very few and far between. It's like 2 people. And it's always ambition, just misled ambition. But as a unit, the Demon Slayer Corps is fiercely loyal to their ideal. I think it would have been interesting to have something like an arc of a traitor in their midst, but Demon Slayer it would have been interesting, but I think it didn't really need that. It wouldn't have been necessary. It would have been more like a side thing, and maybe Tanjiro would have redeemed them, or I don't know. It's just a good, straightforward premise.
Because at the end of the day, Demon Corps is just a long, straining unit trying to defeat demons for all this time. We find out that it's complicated with the demons, but hey, there's been an ongoing war with the top demons and Uzan. So, that's the big bad. We just had to beat the big bad.
I do find the little speech of their leader, like the human spirit being immortal. I did find that a little bit eye-rolly, but I get what he's trying to say versus the demon threat. But
it came off a little corny to me.
But if you're in your final moments and you're feeling like waxing philosophical, knowing that you're sitting on 50 million tons of dynamite, go right ahead, wax away. You've earned it.
I had the same thing. I'm like, this is kind of corny and it's long and it's drawn out.
But it's Demon Slayer.
It's Demon Slayer. And then once you see what he was doing and how, I think Muzan even touched on it after it happened. He's like, he was concealing his bloodlust that much this whole time. It was still corny, but after seeing how this I can understand it a little more.
It was corny, but it was earnest, and it still made for a cool moment. And every series like this, it's always about optimism for the future. We're fighting today to safeguard tomorrow. So it goes right in line with all of the central themes that we've been talking about through this episode. So it's another day in Demon Slayer. And again, if you're going to wax philosophical to the big bad, I could certainly think of worse speeches.
Oh yeah.
Go
carry
for
over
it.
for sure.
Go for it. And in this show, they constantly gave us the backstory of the demon. We know you're about to die because we're getting your backstory.
Again, the final blow, or it's just after the final blow, like their head's off and they are floating through the air. The head's about to hit the floor, which again, I think that works much better in a TV setting than it does in a movie setting, or at the very least. It worked. I think it worked in Mugen Train because, of course, it was just the one fight. If you build your movie around the one fight, there it is. I think if I was to start wrapping up, I think just because like Infinity Castle was so many other different fights, I didn't have time to breathe. I think my thoughts on Infinity Castle are: it was an excellent moment. It's a string of excellent moments, just strung together with a fishing line. It was just one after the other after the other. It was very clunky, and I came out of the movie theater just going, that movie stinks. I'm not one to stir the pot, but I kind of just airing my grievances. And that was a little lesson for me of maybe just kind of keep it to myself. Like if I don't have anything terribly nice to say about the most popular film in the world, it's like, no, the movie's fine. I didn't like it, but the movie is fine. It's just...
Yeah, and what I'm trying to get at is that like this is like a weird like little bubble where they're just gonna go with it. Like, you know what? You caught up to this point, bought all this merchandise, you bought advance tickets for this. We're gonna give it right to you. It's a case study where the substance of the film with the fighting, with what we've gotten accustomed to with Demon Slayer, it's just a matter of like taking it in, seeing if your character survive or not. Because my favorite fight in Infinity Castle was the Shinobu fight, the first one, because that was Mugen Train right there. There were stakes, and you felt like it was early on. Like, okay, I'm not building up the drama,
and a lot of pathos in that fight as well. Because we had some of her backstory, but this was very much like you could just see the juxtaposition between her and Upper Two, just their attitude and the way, everyone's like, that's my secret. I'm always angry. So to really see, to give her that moment. And then as soon as that fight's over, it was, oh, well, here's more shots of people running around. I was like, you
didn't get time to breathe.
I needed to walk out of the thing.
Yeah.
What? Huh?
You needed to upgrade your breathing technique.
And then 3 more hours of that. God.
Yeah, it goes off of what we said earlier. Like Mugen Train was a better movie. Like there were times watching Infinity Castle where I felt like it didn't feel like a movie. It felt like I was watching an episode of the show on the movie screen. We got a very, very, very long Akaza backstory. And I'm like, this is a lot. And hopefully they, figure that out in the second movie. Because as we said earlier, Zenitsu was very annoying to me early on. All of a sudden, he gets serious at the end of the Hashira training arc.
And he's not asleep. He's awake.
Yeah, he's awake and he's serious. And we get that payoff in this movie. But again, it's like Dave said, that you didn't really get time to breathe on it because you had this other fight that was going on. So sandwiched in between Tanjiro's fight and the Kocho fight, it's you have this, and it's like this had big stakes in it. It was a big change in the character. There was a lot that went on here, and it almost felt like a flash in the pan, and it shouldn't have. Which was another thing that just made it felt like, all right, this just felt like I just watched a quick episode instead of it being one cohesive narrative piece.
I'm hoping that Infinity Castle Part 2 takes more notes from Mugen Train, but we'll just have to see. What is it, late next year, or are we having to wait until 2027 for Part 2?
Yeah.
I think it's 27. I think it's 27 and 3 is 29, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, the fun tidbit, the whole intro where Tanjiro's actually falling through the stories and falling through the Infinity Castle. That whole sequence apparently took like 2 years roughly with all this CGI. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had thousands and thousands of models, so they're gonna get their damn money's worth out of it. I hope with all of the discussion that we've had, speaking of getting our money's worth out of it, I think we've covered this show pretty daggum concisely. Are there any like final miscellaneous things y'all wanna throw out?
Umai.
Umai.
Yeah, umai. There you go.
That was one of my favorite moments.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Rengoku was too. He's a precious boy.
He was one of my favorite characters.
He was set your heart ablaze. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My first watch with Mugen Train was with Jamaal. This is like the thicket of with COVID, and you know what? Let's go see a movie. I got the tickets, went straight there, and I remember Jamaal's reaction at the end. He was like, "Why did it have to end? Why did it have to end?" So that's the cusp of this thing. Like, even like what we're going through with like the inconsistencies and annoyances, of course, like what we love
Nothing's
is
perfect.
what we love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a cheat code of why I like Swordsmith Village most as well, because the demons kind of like jumped the thinking of like, okay, these are despicable beings, like the background of the ones trapped in the box, for example, because you can have an interesting story, you can have a good honest take as a villain, but you know, but also we forget the moment where Nezuko almost freaking dies because she's going in the sunlight, and we see Tanjiro being helplessly trying to save her.
Big character moment for him.
It's the only season where it has that payoff, in my own opinion. It's even like, if you want to be technical, the first season of the first Demon Slayer season essentially was a setup for Mugen Train. And then in Training District, we had no idea it would end like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a show that will keep you guessing, and I hope that it becomes a whole thing where we keep it in a box, and you know, when we had that whole spiel with the movies and the business as well, my main concern with more of the American side of things, buying up properties. So if they wanted to do more of their style of similar to Demon Slayer and stuff, good luck. You know, anime has done this for over 50 years, so good luck. But it's also one of those things where it's the bridge, and Demon Slayer is building that bridge faster and faster day by day. And it's ultimately a special show, especially for the anime community.
Yeah, overall, this is going to be interesting because anime is in a very different space post Demon Slayer now, as you were saying at the top of the episode, Jamaal. You know, we are no longer the niche community. And of course, COVID was an accelerator, and Mugen Train with COVID was like gasoline on that accelerant. And I think with as we continue to go through, and especially with the big dominance of streaming, and again, the different initiatives, the movies, live action, One Piece, you know, a lot of this is off of One Piece as well. In fact, you know, primary driver is One Piece. And so all of that and others, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with our community in the next couple of years. Because one thing that also isn't brought up a lot in main conversation, because it's kind of a silent background deal, is anime fans also, like, there's a lot of us, but we also have a lot of turnover in the years. You know, we tend to go younger.
Yeah, and slow periods. That's the key thing.
Yeah, slow periods. Yeah, it's a key thing. So we tend to go younger because you get in a lot of the high school kids, and then they'll watch it for a long time, and then they'll come out, and, you know, a lot of them will phase out after a few years. You know, you'll have the people just come in and watch everything. And so Demon Slayer is definitely on that list of, this is both a worldwide hit and just one of the best gateway anime you can ever have. You know, it's the new gold standard. It's our new, you know, waving the flag, other than the One Piece flag, obviously. You know, it's just in that elevated, just worldwide, surpassing just everything else around it. Everything seems to be currently in Demon Slayer's shadow. So it'll be very interesting to see how the industry moves forward from this, and how we as a community, which we're already pretty fractured between the different shows as is, So just be interesting to see how we move on from here.
It's bringing people in, and it just came around at the right time, as we said earlier, as it was transitioning to streaming and becoming more available worldwide. And, it has every element to make it big. It's very memeable, very cosplay friendly. Like my
It's
daughter
so
went
cute.
as Nezuko to the convention. She wore her thing at
I have
Halloween.
I have friends and family who have had Demon Slayer. They showed up at a party. They said, "Okay, you're going to be this character." And they all showed up as Demon Slayer.
Mhm.
Yes, you see it around.
Right.
It was all around Halloween
Oh,
this
yeah.
time, next to K-pop Demon Hunters. Look at that.
Yeah.
So
The,
yes,
the
absolutely.
movies made money. Like I said, and like what I brought up, like I could walk into just about any Walmart in America, and I'm pretty sure I could find a Demon Slayer shirt. If I can't find a shirt, I'll find a Funko Pop, or I'll find a toy, a notebook, a pen, something. I know I'll find a Demon Slayer something there. Box, whatever it may be. Like it hits on all aspects. It gets the fans, it gets the casuals, it gets the shonen fans, merch, movies, everything. It's just it hit at the right time, and it's opening the doors for a lot of other things. Like we said, it opens the door for a Chainsaw Man Reza arc. It opens the door for Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. And now you're starting to see Jujutsu Kaisen stuff all over the place, and Chainsaw Man stuff all over the place, and you know, Free and Apothecary Diaries, they're huge hits.
Yeah, and Apothecary is having a movie as well. Yeah.
They're going to get their movie as well, and it's like, it's moving on from these Crunchyroll things that this small group of people's watching to it being on Netflix. And you might have your issues with Netflix, but getting streaming on Netflix is a big deal. In this streaming age, people you try to get somebody to sign up for a different service, they're just gonna be like, I'm not doing all that. I know huge anime fans that will not get Crunchyroll because they don't want to sign up for another service. They're just like, all right, when it hits Netflix, I'll watch it. We have to have these big properties because you need these bigger properties to bring eyes to the smaller guy. So it's like I'm just happy it's at a space now where as we said on our podcast plenty of times, it's pop culture now. If they haven't watched the anime, they've at least heard of something.
We'll have to see again. We'll just have to see where we go from here. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. When I was first thinking about it back in after I was walking out of the Infinity Castle and I was going, do I really want to talk about this? Like, what can we possibly say? It's the most popular thing in the world, and it's not like I'm trying to cover the most niche or unforgotten series or whatever. As long as I had something to say about it, then I felt like we could do an episode. And you guys really nailed it on this one. This is we got a lot out of it, and I think this is a good discussion. So I hope other folks find this and at least some part of this discussion valuable and something to reflect on, not just for the most popular anime, a modern anime in the world right now, but just where we are, where we are possibly going. So look forward to our upcoming episode, Sidetracked with Sword of the Demon Hunter. And until next time, everybody, hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay safe, and like always, watch more cartoons.